Yeah, so if he was pound for pound, Floyd was pound for pound. You or Floyd, who would have done that? Who would have won that?
No.
Man, me versus anybody. I'm gonna always say me.
Okay.
Come on now.
You know, I found myself in the past, you know, the younger Floyd Mayweather, you know, going back and forth on the internet with different people. But I'm in a better place in my life right now. You know, I couldn't actually be in a better place. So the old Floyd Mayweather, when I used to go back and forth with people on social media, I don't do that.
Terence Crawford couldn't have an error to himself. And if you put Terence Crawford against any opponent on Floyd's resume, who do you have favorite? Terence Crawford or one of Floyd's opponents?
Why does Ryan keep mentioning another?
No, I'm asking the question first. Do we got Terence Bud Crawford beating everybody on Floyd's resume?
Floyd Mayweather is once again making headlines, and this time it's because he is stirring up some heat with Terence Crawford. In a recent interview, Mayweather questioned Crawford's moves, suggesting that it could be that Crawford only chased Canelo Alvarez for the money. That idea alone is creating a serious firestorm, and Crawford is not letting it slide. The welterweight king didn't hesitate to fire back, making it clear that Mayweather, despite being a legend, is missing the point.
Listen, man. Like I've been saying for years, you put me in the ring with all the great fighters around my weight class, past, present, future. I'm gonna hold my own against all of them.
You know, with him being one of the greats, I thought he would understand why a fighter like me would want to face someone like Canelo, Crawford said. He is sick of hearing the same narrative over and over, that he is only after Canelo for a payday. From Crawford's perspective, this fight is about legacy, about proving that he is the best fighter of this era, not just another name looking for a cash grab. Crawford has been making it clear for months now that his pursuit of Canelo is not about money at all. According to him, the real reason he is pushing for this fight is to test his skills against the best, and Floyd should understand that better than anyone else. It's just how it is.
You know, when these guys, you know, certain fighters, when they want to fight, our job is to line it up. And us fighters, we're warriors. We always want to fight the best. It's just how it is.
He believes that facing Canelo would be the ultimate challenge, one that would define his career and solidify his place in boxing history. But the idea that he is chasing Canelo for financial reasons irritates him. He expected someone like Mayweather, who built his legacy by taking on the biggest names, to understand that. Instead, Mayweather is implying that Crawford is only in it for a payday, and that is not sitting well with the welterweight champion. Taking it a step further, Crawford made it clear to Mayweather that if it wasn't Canelo, but Mayweather himself in the throne, he would still come for him with a sure win. It's a bold statement, but one that shows exactly where his mindset is.
Wow, you know, the question is Floyd gonna come out of retirement
and fight
Crawford?
Yeah, he said, no. Hey, break it down, Calvin. Floyd against Crawford.
That's a good one, you know what I'm saying? Because you got the old GOAT great, you know what I'm saying, against the new GOAT great.
TBE versus the pound for pound king.
Yeah, so that's a good one. You know, that one, the pay-per-views would be stupid.
I'm all for it. Make it happen.
Yeah, the pay-per-view would be stupid.
I'ma beat whoever, whether it's Canelo or anyone in the way, really. Even if Floyd came to me and asked for a fight, well, I'd still beat the old out of him. Because my goal is to prove I am the best, Crawford added. But that statement is already interesting to many fans. Saying he would have beaten Mayweather is one of the most controversial things Crawford has ever said. Fans are immediately debating it. Could Crawford in his prime really take down a prime Mayweather? Comparisons have been made between the two, but could he really outperform the legend?
This guy, in my opinion, could have fought in any era, and on any given night could have beaten any welterweight in the history of the sport. Could have beaten any welterweight in the history of sport. And I'm going to go one further. Prime for prime at 147, Terence Crawford beats Floyd Mayweather. Hands down. Hands down. Hands down.
Mayweather, of course, is not letting this go unanswered. In the interview, he laid out what he thinks Crawford should do if he genuinely wants Canelo. According to Mayweather, Crawford should first go through David Benavidez. If that doesn't happen, then he should take on Jaron Boots Ennis, the rising welterweight star. I feel like if you are all chasing that one fighter and you all can't get that fighter, then you should all say, let's fight each other, Mayweather said, making it sound simple. In his eyes, Crawford needs to prove himself at higher weight classes before demanding a shot at Canelo. However, this view is not shared by everyone.
Terence Crawford is one of the smartest fighters I've ever seen. Very smart, always in shape, you know. And he can figure out anybody. And it don't make no difference if it's 2 weight classes or not. If you have it here, and you have the skills to match this, that's tough to do, no matter who you are.
Mayweather is also pointing out that Crawford has not been very active in recent years. In the last 4 years, Crawford has only fought once per year, and even though he dominated Errol Spence Jr., he has been struggling to secure big fights. Mayweather is implying that Crawford's inactivity might be part of the reason why he is chasing Canelo so hard, because it's the biggest fight he can get, but Crawford knows he's already one of the greats.
The greats like Mayweather, Leonard, Hagler, Duran, Hearns.
My name already up there. You know? It's just a matter of going on.
Instead of waiting around for Canelo, Mayweather is advising Crawford to take on someone like Benavidez, who is also hunting for a fight with the Mexican superstar. If you want to go to 168 and fight Canelo, Benavidez wants to fight Canelo, and if they can't make the fight, they can fight each other. Benavidez and Crawford, Mayweather explained, but Crawford isn't seeing it that way. He isn't just looking for a big fight, he is chasing the biggest fight. In his mind, taking a detour to fight Benavidez or Ennis doesn't make sense when he is already one of the top names in boxing, and he isn't shy about letting people know exactly what he thinks of Mayweather's advice. Besides, even Mayweather's corner believes Crawford could be better.
Dude, I'm talking about to be not considered great. He's already a great fighter, but to be considered probably the best. I mean, he's in a position to be considered probably, better than Floyd. He's in that position.
Better than Floyd?
I mean, he's in that position.
Oh, okay.
I mean, because Floyd's 50 and 0, he's what, 40 and 0?
This is the same Floyd Mayweather who fought Andre Berto in his last fight, right? The same guy who cherry-picked his way to 50-0, Crawford fired back. And now he wants to tell me who I should fight? Man, miss me with that? If anything, Floyd is the one known as the money man because he was all about making the big bag. Crawford is calling out what he sees as hypocrisy from Mayweather. He is suggesting that Floyd, who carefully selected his opponents in the latter part of his career, has no business telling him who he should fight. Mayweather fought Canelo when Canelo was young and inexperienced. Crawford is saying that he is trying to do what Floyd did, secure the biggest fight possible, but now Mayweather is acting like that's a problem.
Y'all sitting up here, y'all praising this dude was nothing. I was almost 40 years old when I cooked this dude. Easy.
Mayweather, always one to defend his legacy, is also pushing back against critics who say he fought a young Canelo at a catchweight to weaken him. In the interview, he corrected that narrative, saying that it was actually Canelo's team that chose the catchweight, not him. Just for the record, a lot of people said it was at a catchweight. I didn't choose the catchweight, Canelo did, Mayweather said. Mayweather also points out how today's boxing landscape is filled with fighters who are unsure if they are chasing legacy, money, or both.
His own catchweight for years. Canelo fought a smaller Mayweather. Canelo fought a smaller Amir Khan.
Yeah, he did. He did at 155.
Amir Khan. He fought Jamel Charlo, and I'm pretty sure he didn't make as much money with all those guys except Mayweather, even Berlanga right now, that he will with me.
Mayweather also took the opportunity to criticize the current state of boxing, saying that there are too many champions and too many different belts. To him, boxing needs to go back to the old school way, where the best fighters fought each other without all the politics. We have to go back to the old school, and we are getting back to that. A lot of good fighters fight each other, and a lot of great fighters fight each other, but we have to cut out all these belts. There are too many champions, so go back to the old school, Mayweather said, making it clear that he is not a fan of how the sport is currently run.
I think it was so impressive about him.
He's experienced, he's so smart. He have everything in a fighter, a complete fighter. He don't have power in the punches, but when you that kind of fighter, you don't need it.
You think that was the toughest fight you faced?
No.
What do you
I
think
think it's tough fights and difficult fights. That was.
But this is not the first time these two have clashed. Long before Leonard Ellerbe was fired, Crawford had already made it clear that he wasn't impressed with how Mayweather Promotions handled its fighters. And he wasn't the only one. Gervonta "Tank" Davis, Mayweather's biggest star beseech then, had already been voicing similar frustrations. Crawford had questioned Mayweather's transition from fighter to promoter, saying that despite making hundreds of millions in the sport, Mayweather wasn't doing enough to support the new generation of boxers. To Crawford, this wasn't just about money. It was about how the business side of boxing was stopping young fighters from reaching their full potential.
But he broke the bank, and I don't see him trying to give the game to the young fighters because he's a promoter now. I can't give everybody the game if I'm one of them now. It's a business at the end of the day. So if they made all this money on our backs as fighters, and now I'm a promoter, I'm gonna do the same thing that they once was doing and just say it's just the game of the business.
Floyd broke the bank. He made his money, he did his thing, Crawford had said. But I don't see him out here really helping these fighters the way he should. It's like once he got to the top, he just want to stay there alone. That statement had instantly caused a stir. Floyd had built his legacy on being the smartest businessman in boxing, but Crawford had made it sound like he was more interested in protecting his own status than passing down opportunities.
Front. So they pay the fighters. They don't have to wait for, that was the big problem in the past, is that these boxing promoters would come in and they wouldn't make as much money as they thought they were going to do, so they would stiff the fighters and not pay the guys. And that's why these regulations are in place in these different states. And that's
Leonard Ellerbe, who had been running Mayweather Promotions, had fired back with a short but firm response. Totally disagree. But his words hadn't been enough to end the conversation. Crawford had already put the spotlight on something that many had been thinking for a long time. Was Mayweather Promotions actually helping fighters, or was it just another way for Floyd to stay in control of the sport?
And but to answer your question, it's black people that got me in the situation. People that look just like me. They say they come from the hood. That's starving me on purpose. Black. So it's not about supporting black in public. It's about being truthful. It's about,
Tank Davis had already been fighting his own battle with Mayweather Promotions, making it known that he wasn't happy with how his career was being handled. He even publicly threw shots at Mayweather himself, hinting that his own success was being used to benefit Floyd more than himself, and Crawford had made sure to bring that up. Look at how Tank had to leave, Crawford had said. That boy had to fight his way out just to get some freedom. And that's the same dude who was making y'all millions. But not every fighter that is signed with Floyd seems to have the same experience.
I think being signed to Floyd, it was a great experience because, that's like somebody I looked up to from a young kid. And I was kind of like, I always felt like I had the same talent he had, but I just always wanted to prove myself to him. I really signed him to get next to him and get knowledge. You know what I'm saying? It really wasn't about the money, but obviously when I first was a young kid, he put some money in front of me and I thought that was a lot of money and I thought that I was gonna get moved like Gervonta was, obviously. Yeah. So when we was in a contract, I would see, guys like Gervonta.
It's just talk. Davis had eventually walked away from Mayweather Promotions, and instead of fighting for him to stay, Mayweather had acted like it was no big deal. That had only fueled the idea that Mayweather wasn't truly invested in his fighters, that once they started to grow bigger, he didn't want to be in their shadow. Crawford had taken it even further, calling out the lack of new stars coming from Mayweather Promotions. And even with the new one, Kermel Moton, Floyd has always found a way to divert the talk to himself.
I didn't have to have 70 fights or 150 fights, 300 fights. Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And in the least amount of fights?
Yes, you did.
Who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that...
The greatest of all time.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, it's right there in front of us, he had said. Why hasn't Mayweather Promotions built another Tank? Why don't they have another big name out here headlining pay-per-views? 'Cause it ain't about building the next champ, it's about keeping Floyd's name the biggest in the room. It is a harsh take, but one that made sense to many. Other promotional companies like Top Rank and PBC have continued to produce new champions, while Mayweather Promotions have started to fade. Fighters have either left or avoided signing with them in the first place. Crawford had basically been saying what a lot of people had already been thinking. Mayweather wasn't trying to build a new legacy with his fighters, he was just trying to keep himself at the top. Ellerbe had tried to defend Mayweather, insisting that Mayweather Promotions had done plenty for fighters, but look at where that left him.
He's not gonna hurt me, you know what I mean? So it's good to be with him than be cool with him, because he can do some crazy stuff. He'll put you in bad situations.
However, as much as Crawford is attacking Floyd, it doesn't mean that Floyd doesn't see him as a great fighter. Floyd Mayweather has never been shy about giving his opinion on the sport, and when it comes to who the best fighter in the world is right now, he isn't hesitating. While many are debating between Alexander Usyk, Naoya Inoue, and Terence Crawford, Mayweather has already made his choice. Crawford is the best pound-for-pound fighter in boxing. And for a man who once dominated the sport himself, that statement carries serious weight. Mayweather has seen it all in boxing, from fighting legends to building a promotional empire, and he isn't one to throw compliments around lightly. So when he said, "I think Terence Crawford, right now in the sport of boxing, is the pound-for-pound best fighter," it sent shockwaves through the boxing world. Coming from Mayweather, a man who rarely acknowledges anyone as his equal, this was as close as it gets to giving Crawford the ultimate crown.
I think Terence Crawford right now in the sport of boxing is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the sport of boxing right now. It's good to see him in the position that he's in. I think he has a beautiful family. I think he has a beautiful wife, a beautiful queen, a black queen.
But here's where things get even more interesting. Crawford is now waiting for the fight against Canelo Alvarez, the same man Mayweather beat over a decade ago. If Crawford pulls it off, he won't just be the best in the sport right now, he will be knocking on the door of Mayweather's own legacy. Mayweather has always been quick to remind people that he fought and dominated Canelo when the Mexican star was younger. But if Crawford beats Canelo in 2025, it will put him in a position that Mayweather never had to deal with, proving himself at such a high weight.
The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, you know, is his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Crawford is a legend, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, you can't.
And that's where the controversy kicks in. Mayweather is saying he respects Crawford's greatness. But deep down, does he really want to see Crawford succeed at this level? If Crawford beats Canelo convincingly, people will start asking a dangerous question. Who did it better, Mayweather or Crawford? And for someone as prideful as Floyd, that's not a conversation he wants floating around. But well, it has already started.
I swear to God. I swear to God, people say that. He said, how can Crawford not top Mayweather if he stops Canelo? That's just Canelo. My brother is just Canelo. But what about that other Hall of Fame legend, Juan Manuel Marquez? What about the other Hall of Fame legend, Miguel Cotto and Manny Pacquiao and Oscar De?
Mayweather's praise of Crawford is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it looks like he's giving Crawford his flowers. On the other hand, it feels like a way to stay relevant in the conversation. He wants to be the one crowning Crawford as the best because that means he still controls the narrative. If Crawford wins big, Mayweather can say, "I told you he was the best," as if his words made it official. But if Crawford loses, Mayweather will be the first to say, "I warned y'all, moving up in weight isn't easy." Either way, Floyd wins the debate.
With Crawford going up, I believe he can put a beating on anybody 154, 160.
But not 68.
Nah, Benavidez is...
Canelo. Yeah.
Oh, Canelo. I think he's a smart fighter. He doesn't rely on his power. Crawford ain't a fighter who just relies on his power.
Meanwhile, Crawford is brushing off the doubters like he always has. He's spent his whole career proving people wrong, and this is just another chapter in the story. "I've been doubted my whole career," Crawford said. "They never thought I would be in this place that I am now. It's the same script, different opponent. They said he was too small for Jeff Horn. He beat him. Too small for Sean Porter. He stopped him. Errol Spence was supposed to be too big and strong. Crawford made him look like an amateur. Now Canelo is the new mountain to climb, and the doubters are back in full force."
Decision or stoppage if they fight in May, Canelo and Crawford.
Decision or...
And why does Canelo beat him, before you get out of here?
Listen, we can have the skills and everything, but jumping that much like that, jumping like that much, getting hit, I don't think Crawford's ever fought a fighter that's hit him directly, just straight, constantly in the arms. And it's not because they can't, they don't think that way.
Appreciate it, champ.
Gotta clear it out, guys. Remember, this man's been pro since what, 14?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
15.
Yeah. Doesn't make a big difference.
No.
But there's another layer to this. Mayweather himself was once in the same position. Back when he fought Oscar De La Hoya, people doubted him too. When he faced Canelo, many thought he was too old. He proved them wrong every time, just like Crawford is doing now. So when Mayweather calls Crawford the best fighter today, is he seeing a reflection of himself? Is this his way of acknowledging that Crawford is carrying the torch that he once held? Or is it just Floyd playing his usual mind games, knowing that his words will keep him in the headlines no matter what happens? Crawford's journey to pound-for-pound supremacy isn't over yet, but if he beats Canelo, the debate will be settled.
The others say, like, no, that's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, so I think if anything...
Mayweather might have named him the best already, but if Crawford wins in dominant fashion, he won't need Floyd's validation. He'll be standing on his own in a league of his own. And for someone as competitive as Mayweather, watching Crawford rise to that level might not be as enjoyable as he's making it seem. But do you really think Crawford can defeat Canelo? And do you think Crawford should have tested himself against a bigger fighter before getting in the ring with Canelo? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more updates.